Okay.
Excuse me, sir, you were talking about some committees. So could you please tell us what were the committees that Snowball had formed?
Okay. Snowball had formed many committees for the animals. As I told you that he was interested uh, for the betterment of the animals of the animal form. Okay, so you may say Snowball, he busied himself with organizing the animals into what is called animal committees. He was indefatigable at this. Means he was all the time working on committees. Like he formed the egg production committee for the hens. Okay, you may take it down. What committee? Egg production committee for the hens. The clean tails league for the cows. Okay, the clean tails league for the cows. The wild comrades re-education committee for the rats and rabbits, and the white wool movement for the sheep, and various others. Besides instituting classes in reading and writing, you remember, he was also teaching animals how to read, and that is why he had formed the 7 commandments, and he was making them read. He would say the line, and then they would repeat the way the teacher says a line, and other students do it. So he was also making them learn the 7 commandments. He wanted animals to learn reading and writing, because once they know, they would be able to run the farm well. So reading and writing classes were a great success. By the autumn, almost every animal on the farm was literate in some degree. Okay. However, as I told you, the pigs were the most efficient in these skills. They would pick up the skills very fast. Like as far as reading is concerned, writing is concerned, or running the farm is concerned, they would pick up. All the skills, all the tasks that were done very quickly. Okay. Now these 7 commandments remind me of something. Now let me ask you whether you recall, whether you remember or not. These were the 7 commandments that were written on the wall of the barn. Okay, and they were supposed to learn them by heart. But there were sheep on the farm who were not able to learn these 7 commandments by heart. For them, Snowball reduced the 7 commandments to a single maxim. Okay, what did he do? He reduced them to a single maxim. Snowball formed a single maxim for them. What was that single maxim? Okay, come on.
4 legs good, 2 legs bad.
Very good, very nice. 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. Okay, and what happened as a result? The sheep developed a great liking for this maxim and would start bleating it every now and then. You may say season or out of season. So every time they would be bleating, 4 legs good, 2 legs bad, 4 legs good, 2 legs bad, 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. The way children do, or the kids do. This is what. Okay, the next question. This is question number 13. You may say the pigs we learn, became greedy and started fooling the animals. This happens, because they were intelligent and they had power also. That is why what did they do? They started fooling other animals. They started exploiting other animals, you may say. So now there can be a question like this also. This is a short question. What is it? How did they start fooling other animals? You have to answer this. The cows were regularly giving milk, as you know, but quite mysteriously the milk would disappear. However, later on the mystery of disappearing milk was solved. It was being mixed every day into the pig's mash. The milk was mixed into the pig's mash. Then when the orchard became littered with windfall apples, the animals thought that they would be distributed equally among them. But it was not so. Who consumed them? The pigs consumed them. The pigs consumed the entire lot of the windfall apples. They fooled the other animals, saying that actually they disliked milk and apples, but they were necessary as they needed them for their health. If their brains were not healthy, then Mr. Jones might return. So they would give this pretext. What would happen if they wouldn't eat apples and they would drink milk? What would happen? They wouldn't be able to do the brain work, and as a result of that, Mr. Jones would come back. Everybody accepted the explanation. So this is how they fooled the other animals. Yes. Next question is, why was Mr. Jones thrown out of the animal form? Now this I would like you to answer. This yes, you ought to know the answer. Why was Mr. Jones thrown out of the animal form? Okay, this I discussed right in the beginning. Mr. Jones was thrown out of the animal form by the animals. Why was he thrown out of the animal form? Yes, come on.
Because he had been exploiting the animals from a very long time. He did not care much about them. He was very much reluctant about the food should be given timely to them and the other needs of the animals. He was very reluctant towards them, and he would drink a lot, and because of that he would just forget to feed the animals, and because of this they became rebellious, and they overthrew him.
Okay, very nice, very nice. That beautifully explained. Yes, good. Okay. Now, Pilkington. Okay. Who were Mr. Pilkington and Mr. Frederick? Now they can be a small question on this also. Who were Mr. Pilkington and Mr. Frederick? They were the owners of the neighboring farm. I told you in the beginning that there were two farms on the right and left of animal farm, and what were they? Foxwood and Pinchfield. They were owned by Mr. Pilkington and Frederick. The owner of Foxwood was Pilkington, an easygoing gentleman farmer who spent most of his time in fishing and hunting according to the season. Okay. The other farm was called Pinchfield, and it was owned by Mr. Frederick. Frederick was a tough shootman, because he was perpetually involved in lawsuits, and with a name for driving hard bargains. Okay, means he was not considered a good person. He had a bad reputation, you may say. Okay. So if I ask you now, who was Mr. Pilkington? Which farm did he own?
Foxwood.
Foxwood, very good. And how about, yes, you tell me. The other farm was called Pinchfield. Pinchfield was owned by
Mr. Frederick.
Mr. Frederick, very good, very nice. Okay, now although we have discussed, this is important here, you have to write a small character sketch. Sometimes you have a short character sketch to write. So who was Snowball? Snowball was one of the cleverest pigs who won the loyalty of other animals by his decisions that he took and the welfare committees that he formed for the betterment of the farm. Can you tell me just one committee formed by him?
Egg production committee.
Egg production committee, and that was for hens, in fact. Very nice. Yeah. However, he failed to see through the intrigues and sinister thoughts of Napoleon, who easily chased him away from the farm with the assistance of his ferocious dogs, who were his bodyguards. Okay. He left force. He was very hardworking. He was all the time busy with his committees and all. He was interested in the betterment of the animals and all, but he was not a shrewd leader. Okay, he lacked foresightedness. As a result, he was thrown out of the farm by Napoleon. Like, it's a kind of satire. This is what happened with good people. Although good people are dedicated, devoted, but they are not able to do things the way they want to. Those who are negative, those who are selfish, those who are greedy, those who are not interested in the betterment of the society rule the world. Seldom do we have very nice leaders. Same is shown in the animal form. That's why we say, what is literature? Literature is the mirror of society. Whatever you see in the society, you read in literature. Okay. Or say vice versa, you may say. Okay. Now the next question. This is question number 17. Yeah. What changes did Napoleon make after his dogs chased Snowball off the farm? Means when Snowball chases, when Napoleon chases Snowball away from the farm, what changes does he bring about in the animal form? What changes did Napoleon make after his dogs chased Snowball off the farm, away from the farm? Yes, can you tell me what's the answer? Yes, Napoleon declared that there would be no more Sunday meetings. They used to have Sunday meetings. They would hoist a flag. Okay, the flag which was green in color, and a hoof and a horn was painted on it. So there was no flag hoisting on Sundays. The animals would now meet on Sundays to sell. The animals would now meet on Sundays to salute the flag, sing Beast of England, and receive their orders for the week. Because all these things, they were stopped by him. Earlier, what would happen? They would hoist a flag, they would sing Beast of England, Beast of Ireland, and they would salute the flag also. This all reflected a kind of patriotism which was not there on the animal form anymore. He had stopped this practice. This was something positive, but this practice was stopped. Yeah. This was a major change, and this is very symbolic. This is very symbolic. Like something you have been doing for ages, then all of a sudden you decide not to do it. Why? Because it's not doing any personal good to you. That's why Napoleon stops this. Okay, next question is, this is question number 18. Why didn't the other animals protest against Napoleon's decisions? Because Napoleon, as we pointed out, that has become a dictator. He follows his own whims. Okay, whatever he feels good, he does it. Yeah. So why didn't the other animals protest against him? This is the question. The other animals did not protest against Napoleon's decision, because none of them was really smart, I would say. They were smart and bold enough to bring up any arguments. The sheep began their bleating, and the dogs growled upon them before anyone could think of a protest. If any animal was raising any small voice against them, then what would happen? The animal would be killed. All the animals were extremely scared of Napoleon and his ferocious dogs. Okay? So now you tell me, yes, why didn't the animal protest against Napoleon? Although they were not happy with the decisions of Napoleon. Napoleon was a dictator. Napoleon, in fact, saw only his own good, yet the animals did not protest. Why didn't the animal protest against him?
Because they were not smart and bold enough to fight against him, and if anybody would even try, he would be killed by the dogs of Napoleon, or would be scolded.
Okay, good. Very nice. Yeah, so this question is, question number 19. What is the significance of the dogs accompanying Squealer when it comes to talk to the animals? This is important, and this is very significant in the context of the story. And in fact, if you see around the political scenario, then you would find that this holds good to the political environment of any country. So what is the significance of the dogs accompanying Squealer when he comes to talk to the animals? Whenever Squealer would come to face the public as a mouthpiece of Napoleon, the ferocious dogs would come along with Squealer. Why would they do this? What's the significance of this? Why would the dogs accompany Squealer when he came for a public meeting? Okay, Napoleon wants to make sure that there is no protest or rebellion against his orders, and hence he sends his ferocious dogs along with his spokesperson Squealer. Okay, he didn't want any protest. He didn't want any rebellion against him. So in order to frighten the animals, he would send his ferocious dogs as bodyguards along with Squealer. Squealer does, in addition to Squealer's natural ability to convince, he has three vicious dogs to support and strengthen him. He had more, but at least 3 dogs would come along with Squealer. It is said in the novel that he knew how to turn white into black and black into white. He had the gift of gab. Means he could convince people. He would convince people. Squealer was so clever, so cunning. What is that person called who is very good at speech?
Orator.
Okay, orator. But he what I mean, eloquent. He was very eloquent. He had the gift of gab. Yes. Now, Molly have written yes. Now the next question is on Molly. Who was Molly and why did she run away from the farm? Who was Molly and why did she run away from the farm? Molly, as I told you like in the beginning, was a white mare, and she liked wearing pretty ribbons, eating sugar. This is also an important trait of Molly. What did she do? She relished eating sugar and being praised, pampered, and stroked by human beings. She admired herself and did not like working on the farm, and so she slipped away from the farm. Okay, this is important. Like you have all sorts of characters there in the animal form, and they all have their idiosyncrasies. The way you have in Chaucer's prologue to Canterbury Tales, and it is said about prologue that here there is God's plenty. So can be said about animal form also. Different kind of characteristics you have here. Yes.